All right, ready to dive deep into some conspiracy theories. You guys wanted us to tackle some of the most talked about ones, and we're going straight to the source, Shane Dawson's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Shane Dawson, he's got that style that really pulls you in, and his video, mind-blowing conspiracy theories, it's like falling down the rabbit hole.
Definitely. So we're going to unpack a few of the theories he covers. We got a mysterious voicemail, some creepy K-pop stuff, even the idea that the media is secretly programming us, all that good stuff.
Sounds like a wild ride.
Yeah, it is. We'll break down why these theories are so compelling and why they seem to resonate with so many people.
Right, because there's always something kind of fascinating about them, even if you don't necessarily believe them.
Okay, so first up, the creepy voicemail conspiracy. Imagine this, okay? You get this voicemail, and it's basically a coded message, like a warning. Well, that's what happened to this guy named Ty.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember hearing about that. Definitely the kind of story that grabs your attention right away. A real person, a creepy experience, and then this whole mystery you got to unravel.
Exactly. So the voicemail used words from the NATO phonetic alphabet, like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. And when you translate it, it spells out, danger, SOS, it is dire for you to evacuate, be cautious, they are not human. Pretty freaky, right?
Chills, yeah. Just reading those words out loud gives me chills.
I know. And to make things even creepier, the voicemail had coordinates.
Coordinates, like GPS coordinates.
Yeah, and guess what? They pointed to a spot near where Malaysian Flight 370 disappeared.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, that is seriously creepy. That connection to a real unsolved mystery, it's like it adds this layer of what if you can't ignore.
Right. And it gets even weirder. So Ty, he claimed he started getting these DMs in code, in other languages even, and someone even took pictures of his house, like at 3 a.m.
Oh, no, that's like straight out of a movie.
I know, right? All those extra details, they keep you hooked.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This story kind of fell apart. Turned out Ty's profile picture was stolen, and even he started to wonder if it was all a hoax.
So was he in on it, or was he a victim? See, that's what makes so many of these conspiracy theories fascinating. It makes you question everything. What's real, what's fake, what's being covered up.
Yeah, exactly. And Shane Dawson, he actually interviewed Ty for his video, and Ty swore up and down that the voicemail was real.
Huh. So if it was a hoax, who was behind it? And why go through all that trouble?
Right. Those are the questions that linger, even if you think it might be fake. It's human nature to want explanations, especially when it comes to something as weird as that voicemail.
Totally. We crave those answers, those connections, especially when something seems so out of the ordinary.
Okay, so let's move on to a conspiracy theory that kind of plays on those fears we have about technology, how it can be used in some pretty scary ways. It's the one about K-pop stalkers and this app called Vital Idol.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. It's definitely unsettling, especially with how connected we all are online these days.
Imagine thinking you're texting your favorite K-pop idol, like actually having a conversation with them, only to find out it might be a stalker on the other end.
Ugh, yeah, that's a nightmare scenario, especially for young fans who might not even realize what's happening.
Exactly. And that's the whole premise behind this theory. It all centers around this app, Vital Idol.
So on the surface, it seems harmless enough, right? Like fans use it to message their idols and they get replies, automatically generated stuff. It's all supposed to be from bots.
Yeah, totally. But then things took a dark turn. The conversations, they started out pretty innocent, but then they became super disturbing, like creepy messages and stuff. Some fans reported getting messages like, I'm watching you through the window, or even references to self-harm. It was bad.
See, that's what makes this theory so unsettling. That shift, from what seems like a harmless interaction to something really sinister. It preys on our fears about online safety.
It's scary. And to give you an idea of how disturbing these messages got, one fan shared a conversation they had with a bot that was pretending to be Jungkook from BTS. The bot actually said, "Do you hear the sound of blood dripping on the cold floor?" Like,
Oh, God. Yeah, using that kind of graphic imagery, that's a classic tactic to instill fear. It makes the threat seem so much more real, even if it's just coming from a bot.
So the theory is that these hackers were impersonating K-pop idols on the app, using it to stalk and harass fans. Some people even think they could access fans' cameras during video calls, which is extra creepy.
That raises all sorts of questions about technology and ethics, like how do we protect ourselves when our lives are so intertwined with these digital platforms?
That's a good question. And what's even more unsettling is that when one fan tried to FaceTime a bot, the app actually requested access to their camera.
That just reinforces that feeling of being watched, like our privacy is constantly under threat.
Vital Idol? They denied all the allegations. But still, the idea of being watched and manipulated through technology, that's a real concern.
It is, and that's the thing about these conspiracy theories. Even if they're debunked, they stick with us. They feed into our anxieties, they make us question things, and sometimes they just leave us feeling uneasy.
It definitely makes you think twice about what you see online and the apps you use.
Absolutely. It's a reminder to be cautious, to be aware, and most importantly, to be a critical thinker.
All right, so let's jump into a theory that really makes you question like the nature of reality itself. This is the one about predictive programming.
Oh, yeah, this one's a real mind bender. Basically, it suggests that governments, powerful groups, they use the media to kind of secretly condition us, make us more accepting of things that might happen in the future.
Whoa, okay, so they're like planting these ideas in our heads so we're more likely to just go along with stuff that we'd normally like resist?
That's the idea. People who believe in this, they point to all these examples of supposed predictions of major events like 9/11 that popped up in movies, cartoons, even ads years before it happened.
Yeah, I've seen some of that stuff online. It's pretty freaky when you think about it.
Oh, totally. There's that newspaper ad from like 1968. It shows a plane like headed straight for these skyscrapers. It's impossible not to think about 9/11 when you see it.
And then there's that cartoon with Cookie Monster. He like knocks down the Twin Towers, which is just like so creepy to watch now, knowing what happened.
Right. It's like, how could they have known? But see, those things, when you look at them through the lens of predictive programming, they can start to seem like part of some bigger plan, like we're being prepped for this reality that's already been laid out.
It's kind of trippy. It makes you wonder if seeing those images, even in fiction, if it somehow desensitizes us to these events when they actually happen.
Yeah, that's the idea, is like by introducing these concepts, even subconsciously, they make us more compliant when they become reality.
So it's kind of like, that analogy about the frog in the boiling water? Like if you
Yeah.
throw a frog into boiling water, it jumps right out. But if you slowly heat up the water, the frog doesn't even realize it's in danger until it's too late.
Exactly. Predictive programming is like slowly turning up the heat, getting us used to these ideas that we might otherwise have rejected.
But how do we know if something's like a real prediction or just a coincidence? Are we just seeing patterns where there aren't any?
That's the tough part. It's easy to get caught up in this, to see connections everywhere. Our brains are kind of wired to look for patterns, to try to make sense of things. But sometimes those connections are just illusions.
Right. So even if some of these examples seem convincing, we got to be careful not to jump to conclusions.
Totally. It's important to be skeptical, to consider other explanations, and most importantly, to think critically.
Okay, well, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about a theory that's maybe a little less ominous, but still super thought-provoking. It's about the headless woman. You know how women are often portrayed in the media without heads?
Oh, yeah, the headless woman. This one's really interesting because it highlights how powerful images can be. Like the messages that are being sent, even if we don't realize it.
It's one of those things you see everywhere. Ads, movie posters, album covers, all these women, but no heads. I never really thought about it until recently.
It's so common that it almost becomes invisible. Like it's just part of the background noise of our media landscape. But once you start noticing it, you can't unsee it.
Totally. Like it's this weird code we've all been conditioned to accept without even questioning it.
Right. And there is a practical explanation for it, at least in advertising. A lot of times, modeling agencies charge less for photos where the model's face is invisible. So it's a way for brands to save money.
Ah, so it's all about the bottom line, huh? Get the impact of using a woman's body to sell the product,
Yeah.
but without the cost of showing her face.
Yeah, that's part of it. But the bigger question is it just a clever marketing trick, or is it a reflection of something deeper, something more problematic?
You mean like objectification?
Yeah,
Reducing women to just their bodies.
exactly. By making women faceless, are we reinforcing this idea that a woman's value is tied to her appearance? Like her worth is based solely on her physical form, not her thoughts, her personality, her individuality.
Yeah, it's subtle, but
Yeah.
like when you think about it, it's a powerful message, right? Like it feeds into this whole culture where women are seen as objects, not people.
And it's worth noting that this almost exclusively happens to women. You rarely, if ever, see headless men in advertising or entertainment.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like how these theories, even if they're kind of out there, they spark so much discussion. People get really passionate about them.
It's definitely more than just wanting to be entertained, though. A lot of times these theories tap into those deeper anxieties we have about the world, that need to make sense of things. especially when things feel random or chaotic.
So it's like a way of creating order out of chaos, right? Like instead of just accepting that we don't know everything, we try to find explanations, even if those explanations involve like secret societies or government cover-ups.
Yeah, it gives us this sense of control,
Yeah.
like someone somewhere is pulling the strings.
Is there a certain type of person who's more likely to believe in these things? Like, does it have anything to do with intelligence or education?
Actually, research suggests that personality plays a much bigger role. People who tend to believe in conspiracy theories, they often share certain traits, like a strong desire to feel unique or special, a distrust of authority figures, and a low tolerance for uncertainty.
So it's not so much about being smart or educated. It's more about how your personality and experiences shape the way you see the world.
Right. We all come to the table with our own biases, and those biases inevitably influence how we interpret information.
Which is why it's so important to be a critical thinker. Like,
Yeah.
constantly question your own assumptions and be open to different perspectives, even if those perspectives challenge your beliefs.
Absolutely. And we need to be especially discerning about the information we consume, especially online, where things can spread so quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. With social media, it's like we're constantly being bombarded with information from all sides. How do you even know what to believe anymore?
That's where media literacy skills come in. You got to be able to really analyze the information you're taking in, fact check stuff, be aware of potential biases, and don't just accept things at face value.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from that creepy voicemail to that unsettling Vital Idol app. We talked about predictive programming, the headless woman, all these theories that kind of make you think, what if?
Whether we buy into these theories or not, they offer a glimpse into how we as humans try to make sense of the world.
Yeah.
And they highlight how important it is to think critically, to be media literate, and to engage with information in a way that's thoughtful and responsible.
It's a good reminder that figuring out what's real and what's not, it's a process. And it's a process we all need to be a part of.
Exactly. It's all about being curious, asking questions, and never being afraid to challenge what you think you know. Because the more we learn, the better equipped we are to navigate this crazy, unpredictable world.